Hello. Hi, this is Audra.
Yeah, but the other attorney in my office working on me with this mess.
Hi. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, let me cut right to it. And I'll try not to take up too much of your time, and then we can certainly circle back around. We're going to have to anyway. Actually, I think it was a fairly productive meeting. They did not outright tell us no. They also did not outright say, sure, we'll do everything you want. Okay, so that's the short version. We went, there was some dancing around at the beginning about, are you sure, legally we're not sure that we're required to do this. And we were like, yes, we've sent you the letter. We believe that legally you are. Let's put that aside for a minute. And is there some middle ground where we can figure out something to do with this? And then they talked about, and again, it was just the attorney, so I just do want to advise you, there was nobody from the other side, client-wise present, nobody from the Senate or anything was there. And it was actually, I thought it was going to be a phone meeting, but it was a video Teams meeting, Microsoft Teams meeting. And so then there was the discussion kind of from their side was about, well, we've looked into this, and it's probably going to cost us $40,000 to $50,000, and that, that's certainly kind of a sticking point. And I said, well, have you actually had someone look into it at the Capitol since the original walkthrough, over a year ago when we were kind of looking at this? We had Katie that was working on it. We had other people from the office that actually met the House folks and walked through. The proposal was to knock out a wall in the family restroom and have Senate space. And so, is that still the area you're talking about in cost savings? And kind of him hawed around about it a little. I think what they really said was they talked to someone at OU Health Sciences Center who has put one in at the Children's Center now at the medical facility there. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one yet.
Yeah, that was the first one. That was the first one.
And they basically said, well, those folks said that's that's going to be your cost. Load bearing, you're going to have to make sure you've got enough load bearing for a install, for a raise up and down, adult changing station and those kinds of things.
That's if you put one on the wall, right? That's if you choose to put one on the wall.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we talked about. I said, look, here's the deal. And Nick and I, Nick and I kind of had a conversation with him about, look, maybe that's not the only option. How about now that we've got a couple other individuals involved, i.e. Nick and I, like actually eyes on this now. Why don't we go back out there and look and see what our other options? Is the family restroom the only family restroom in the building? The one on the first floor. Are there other restrooms where maybe you could, at a more cost-effective manner, maybe remove stall walls and make an exercise stall for an adult changing station? What can we do? Is there a room that we could use for this purpose? Which then caused Sam specifically to say, well, what about the doctor of the day room? What if there was a changing station in there that was either adjustable or was at chair height, that was different than the bed that's in there, the medical bed that's in there now? And if the sink was available for disposing of urine or that type of waste, and maybe if we had a biohazard container where you could dispose of other waste. I said, well, that's a good starting point if that's the only purpose for that room. I said it can't be the doctor of the day room and a adult changing station restroom facility. But if you get everything else out of there and make it basically a bathroom for individuals, whether it has a toilet or not, a bathroom for individuals that need to meet their adult changing needs with an adult changing station of some kind, I think that's a talking point. I said, and they said, well, I think we can maybe work with that. So the discussion, to cut out a bunch of the back and forth bullshit, the discussion kind of ended with, let's look at what we could do in finding another, they would have to work with, their folks in the House in potentially finding another place for the doctor of the day room, which, quite honestly, they said, I think we could probably do that. There's got to be other rooms in the building that could be used for that purpose. And I said, yeah, because we've had, and I told the story that you've related not only about some of the things that you and Ty have experienced, but also your friend whose name I'm forgetting, I'm sorry, being challenged about what they were doing with the waste, or having to walk the waste from the from the doctor of the day room over to the restroom, which is, unnecessary and embarrassing, and you shouldn't have to do it. So the current kind of proposal is to consider whether or not the doctor of the day room could be converted to serving that purpose of being basically an adult changing station room for that sole purpose, and not to be a dual service room, and that the room could be locked like once you enter, like the family restroom, for privacy and those kinds of things. So then it kind of got back to the discussion of, but do we have to get an adult changing station that we attach to a wall? That's one of the huge expenses or whatever. And while Nick had already done a little bit of research, but while we were sitting there talking to him, Nick was actually on his computer, because we were on a computer meeting, and looking around, and he actually found a couple of options, but one that looks like it might be a very reasonable option of a motorized adult changing
They're
station.
$2,300. And Trait Thompson, you know what? You know why I'm real frustrated with this whole situation? Because Trait Thompson, there's an email back in 2019 that everything has been talked about right now was talked about back then, but nobody's listening. And when I met the attorneys at the Capitol that day and did the walkthrough with the attorneys with the House of Representatives, what was her name? I suggested that doctor of the day room be split. And no one would listen to me. No one would listen to me. And I think that if everyone would just come around the table and listen to me, and you read through all the emails I sent you early on, have you seen my U.S. Justice complaint?
I have.
Okay, well, go back to, I think, tab 3, third exhibit on that. And that's where Trait Thompson had mentioned the doctor of the day room long, long ago. And I've never asked that a wall-mounted version ever be put in that building. They've brought that on themselves because they don't really know what's going on, because they won't talk to me about none of it. It's real frustrating.
Well, I understand you're frustrated, but if we want the issue solved, and that's something that you're willing.
Yeah, I think a floor-mounted table in the doctor of the day room where no one has to ask for a key would be great. And that's what we came up with 3 years ago, Brian.
I understand what you're saying in your frustration, but my job now is to see if I can get it done from today forward.
I'm ready to hire an attorney, and I'm tired of this. It's making me sick.
Okay.
I'm sick. I have been sick for a month, and I'm not getting any better. And I would like to talk to the attorney friend of yours up in Tulsa, and I would like to hire an attorney, because I'm done with this back and forth stuff. I'm done.
Okay. Well, I need you to let me know when that occurs, because unless you tell me to stop talking to them, I'm going to continue to move forward with.
I would really like you to move forward, but can you understand my frustration? We're back to where we were 3 years ago.
I can, but can you understand my frustration with you stating it that way and saying that I'm offering you a solution that you said you would have accepted 3 years ago?
Yeah.
I don't know if we can even get, and then.
I don't know why you wouldn't be able to get that. I don't know why. That's not why they wouldn't. And if they don't take that, I would like to know tomorrow if they're going to take that or not, because that's real reasonable. $2,300 free shipping, and it fits. Well, I was hoping that they would just say, hey, you know what? We're going to see, this is reasonable. Trait Thompson thought it was reasonable 3 years ago. The House attorneys think it's real reasonable. And I think Sam Wilkerson is making me real sick. He's making me sick, Brian. I have a family. This is enough.
Here's how I understand your frustration. Here's how we're going to proceed from now, unless you tell me otherwise. I am going to keep working forward and trying to see if we can get this accomplished. If at some time, whether it's tomorrow, the next day, a month from now, you say, Brian, I don't want you guys' help anymore. You need to stop. I don't want your
No, I want your help, but I don't see where anything was done that hasn't already been talked about 3 years ago.
Or you get to the point where you've hired another attorney to take over representation in this matter. Let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to keep proceeding. I'm going to try to get it taken care of, and we're going to keep you advised of our progress as we go along.
Okay.
And I'm sorry that it's not meeting your expectations of how quickly you want it to happen, or that it could have happened 3 years ago.
At what point do you all start looking at my mental health and the mental health of my son and what we've been through the last 3 years? At what point does that come into play? Because I'm about to just, it's a lot. It's a lot. Those politicians up there, a very few small handful of them, have decided that my son is some political tool. That my life. Yeah. No one asked them for a wall-mounted version. No one did.
Okay. Well, speak with Ty about it and let me know if you have any other thoughts. You're welcome to call me or email me tomorrow. Like I said, until I hear from you otherwise, I'm going to keep proceeding on trying to get it accomplished. But if you get to the point where you're like, I don't want your help anymore, or we're going in a different direction, or I've hired someone else, you need to let me know.
Well, I would like to work with the attorney that you would suggest, that you suggested that you would want to work with.
Well, you need to call him and see if he wants to take the case then. His name's Don Bingham. I think I emailed you the information.
Yeah, I need to call him.
And you can have Don call me. He's a good friend of mine. He'll be happy to talk to me about it. That's going to be his and his law firm's decision about whether or not they take the case.
Have you heard what's going on with ODOT and my ADA grievance with them?
No, I know that you told me last time we spoke that you had filed one, but I don't, from the vacation you guys took at the end of the summer, but I don't have any idea what's going on.
They're removing the barriers in all visitor centers. That's what they're doing. I have a meeting tomorrow with Washington, D.C. I filed an ADA grievance on Yellowstone National Park.
What do you mean that they're, just out of curiosity, what do you mean that they're removing the ODOT's removing the barriers? Are they putting in changing stations?
They told me on the phone that they're pulling in state agencies around a table